You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 243rd episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim in Orlando, Florida.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts.
And unfortunately, little guy is out again this week. But Spencer, I'm going to cut to the chase. Today I went gravel grinding.
Oh.
The old Focus Mares cross bike, got it all dialed up with Phil Minimoto cross like brakes, cantilever brakes.
Okay.
And then I rode it out to Lake Apopka, which is kind of where you go gravel grinding here in Orlando. I saw some gators, really big gators today.
All right. That's something I don't really have to deal with on any of my rides.
No, but I guess I haven't gone gravel grinding in about a year since the Dirty Pecan 2018. And every single time I go gravel grinding, I'm like, why don't I do this more? And then I did it today and I was like, this was so much fun. There's hardly any cars.
Yeah.
There's the Lake Apopka, you ride on what's called the Wildlife Drive. So it's really popular with birders.
It sounds like the alligators named that road.
Yeah.
Like,
for the most part.
Come here, wildlife. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, just come down this road.
And the thing is, so cars are allowed on it, but it's like a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they're all birders, and they really love it when we come riding past them and scaring away all the birds. Oh, man, I haven't seen this yellow-bellied, wobbler ever. And then, they're taking a photo of it for their memento book or whatever. And then we come rolling by like cyclists, just throwing goo packs in the middle of the, protected wildlife region.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't need this bottle. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
The gators are probably jacked too, like from all the goo and cliff shots and things that they've been eating.
The gators are pretty big. It's, you don't really, a lot of people talk about gators here in Florida. They exist. But when you see them when you're riding your bike past, it's definitely, you're kind of like, all right, cool. As long as I'm faster than the guy behind me.
It's true. Yeah.
So anyway, I did that today. And then I came home from my ride and right away turned on the flow bikes, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay.
And the Trofeo Alfredo Binda was on.
Yes.
Which is the women's world tour race, like the longest running women's professional race in it was like 30 plus years, maybe. I guess I don't know the full history. I'm sure Abby can tell us about it more. I know she selected it as a monument of women's cycling when we had her on previously.
Yep.
It's got multiple finishing laps near the end. And I got to tell you, the last lap, the final 10K was way better than Milan San Remo, which we'll get to in a second.
Amazing.
It was insane.
Okay. I
great.
I didn't see it. I was following along on Twitter for a while until I think that one lap to go. There was maybe one person off the front by a little bit, something. And then, I had stuff going on, so I couldn't digitally spectate the finish. So I don't exactly know what happened.
Well, you remember how last week we were talking about the dominant teams in women's cycling?
Yeah.
And how they're more dominant than everybody else.
Yeah.
Just forget everything we kind of said, because who was really animating the race were some of the smaller teams. And then there was the whole aspect of, there was a group, I want to remember, I think it was 6 that were off the front, and then they were all caught with 150 yards to go.
Oh, wow.
But Voss was there the whole time, in that group of 6. Corinne Rivera, her teammates were pulling the group back together, and she finished a second down. She just couldn't get there to launch the sprint. Marianne Vos wins over Amanda Spratt. And then I would say the most valuable player, the most aggressive rider, Cecile Utrip Ludwig of Bigla in third.
Okay.
She would not stop. Like, it was nonstop attacks from her. It was awesome. It was almost like when we do a group ride out into kind of like Lake Minnetonka or every other area of the country. There's like those places where there's just lots of small town sign sprints.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you're going around a lake or you're like on the border of 4 counties. So every 200 yards, there's another town line sprint. That's what it was like watching her race. It was so much fun. And I mean, Marianne Vos won. Couple style points though. Marianne Vos, world-class celebration. Like her celebration, you got to find the picture.
Okay.
She has the one hand straight up to 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Elbow kind of dropped to the right, like a little Francisco Mancebo going up the mountain, and the other hand kind of down at 6. Like it was amazing.
Little
like
off
no hands
kilter.
on the bars. Probably one of the coolest victory post-ups I've seen in a while because it wasn't the 2 hands.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can't believe she did that in a sprint in front of like 15 people after this whole entire ride, right? So you're like, what's going on here? This is kind of strange. But then they show the helicopter video from up top. She wins by a lot. Like a ton. And you're like, all right, cool.
So she had time to think about that celebration, plan it out.
Voss's boss.
Yeah.
And she's going to come back a couple times in the conversation today when we compare her to some of the male racers. But anyways.
Okay. So, Tim, I have an important question quick about Marianne Vos and that victory and the victory salute.
Oh, so good. It's like one of my favorites. Way better than the Fletcher.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's similar. It's got some throwback kind of to the Fletcher, but she does it better. How'd you feel about the CCC kit?
I can tell you, well, I was going to get to style points here. So good question. The kit looked okay.
Does it grow on you?
It is. So, Mr. Mitch Docker, friend of the podcast, he was right. It is growing on me. I understand that. Yeah. Let me tell you where my problems are. Helmet. The helmet that Marianne Vos is wearing. And then also, oh, by the way, most valuable teammate, Ashley Muhlman, who brought every attack back for Marianne Vos. Like that is how stacked this team is. The teamwork was fantastic. It was so awesome. Anyways, Muhlman, great South African champion, but the helmet is ugly.
I can't believe somebody on this podcast wouldn't have put CCC up in their top 3 of dominant teams. That's it's pretty impressive.
I know, right? Yeah, that's why I don't listen to really anything we say other than if we tell you to watch a race, watch the race. Go to the last 15K if you want. Last 20K is probably the best. It's awesome. But the helmet that they're wearing, they've got this arrow giant. I think it's a giant lid.
Yeah, probably.
Do you remember when Pac first came on the scene and they had that arrow helmet that looked like a giant mushroom?
Oh yeah.
Kind of looked like Darth helmet or whatever in Spaceballs.
It looked actually like the mushrooms from Super Mario Brothers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this one from the helicopter footage is just too big.
Yeah.
It's just too big. Like I don't think I could wear that ever because I would feel like I would need to ride really fast to make whatever aero properties work. Okay. Other cool things to say. Canyon Tram.
Yeah.
Actually had a good race today.
Great race.
They were good. 5th and 6th.
Yeah, I'm looking at the results. They're stacking it up here in the top 10.
And then BT City, like the Russian woman, I don't even know much about this team. And I was like, wow, the kits, pretty cool though. We talked a little bit about the kits before, but anyways.
Another one, Amelia Fallon, FDJ, back in the front end of the peloton. She's a
multi-time Swiss national champion.
Yeah. The kid is amazing. The kid is very good. But yeah, she's been struggling. She had some injuries and stuff like that recently. So, it's good to see her back towards the sharp end of the peloton.
Lisa Klein?
Yeah.
Didn't enter. Lotta? Didn't enter. So
Hmm.
it's not like I cursed the Trek Finnish national champion kit. So anyway, which by the way, you're gonna get my size medium. I'm sending up to you, so I'll bust out the large. Just got it.
Thank
so,
you.
anyways, the women's race was great, and the reason I'm leading into that,
Yeah.
and we'll get to Milan and Remo talk and expert opinions and all that, but I became a little bit even more of an adult. So remember last year I became an adult when I paid the $50 to get
Tim,
NBC Sports Gold.
this is a family show, Tim.
I know. But it was a big deal last year when I got the
Yes.
NBC Sports Gold, because I used to just go on pirate internet
hmm
on like an old laptop because I didn't want to like download viruses to my work computer.
Yep. Deep into the dark webs.
Deep into the dark webs. And
Yep.
I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to do it for the tour. And then I, got the NBC Sports Gold, and you get like a fair amount of coverage. And then I had Red Bull TV, and I was like, all right, life is pretty good.
Yeah. You start getting spoiled.
Exactly. I can justify the, what is it? Like $4 a month for NBC Sports Gold.
Yep.
Right. Like I watch enough. I don't watch Paris-Nice. I don't watch Angin Tour of California, but I watch the Tour. I watch the Volta, and then some of the monuments that are in there.
And they have the Cyclocross World Cups.
And they do.
Yeah.
And then last year, the Giro came around. And the Giro is on Fubo or Fobo, whatever.
Yeah.
Not the early 90s fashion company, but there's like a sports channel. Or you could just buy it through Flow Bikes. And we remember Flow Bikes back in the day because that's where Colt had the cyclocross power rankings back when cyclocross was, in its infancy in America, really just starting to blow up.
Okay.
So Flow Bikes is part of Flow Sports out of Austin, Texas, and they have this streaming network. Now, it was $30 a month membership.
Woof.
Unless you did the annual. It was a lot, but I paid $30 for the month of May because then I could watch the Giro.
Okay.
Right? Like, and you're like, okay, that's $2 a stage. I did it last year and it was fine.
Okay.
Okay, Milan San Remo comes around. I really didn't want to go get a pirate feed.
Okay.
So I splurged for the $150 of Flow Bikes. So it's $150 if you buy the whole year at once, which comes out to like $12 a month.
Okay.
So I know I'm not here. Like they don't pay me to say any of this. Like there's like no reason for me to do this other than I looked at the calendar of races that they got because it had been recommended to me by Abby Mickey, Chad Brown from Trek. Also was like, yeah, you should probably look into getting it. And I did. Holy crap. There's a lot of racing. They had, as an example, the Trofeo Alfred Binda today.
Okay.
In full
good.
Italian. It was full Italian. It was like I was on the pirate stream, but I wasn't downloading viruses and it was in full Italian and it made the racing that much more excited because when the announcer got excited, I was like, ooh, something exciting is happening.
Yeah.
And
all right.
we're going to talk a little bit about the some of the racing that happened over the weekend. Like they had this little known race. I didn't even know this race existed. This would be like right up little guy's alley. The Grand GP de Dane. Oh, it's probably some race in Belgium. That's on there. Matthew Van Der Poel won. Like, so you can go watch that race.
That was on there to stream.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
They have everything. Like I could not believe they have Trobro Leon on here.
Well, that's good. That's one to not miss.
They have, like Gent Velgem is going to be on here. They'll have GP Miguel Indurain, which is awesome. Basque Country rate. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff on here.
All right. So you're saying the adult thing to do is to pony up $150
It's a lot of money
for an annual pass to Flow Bikes. That's your move this year.
It's my move, and here's why. They also they have the USA Crits coverage of like Athens Twilight, which I think some of them you can actually get for free. Like I don't know how it works, but maybe I had $150. Like if you think about it from a $12 If you think of it from a $12 a month perspective, I'm like, okay, that's 2 less beers out.
Sure.
I know it
doesn't really work for my math, my budget. Yeah, I'm not really spending that on beers anyway. So yeah, well, that's true.
But it's just like they have the BMX World Championships. I don't know. There's so much on there, and I will just say this: the amount of women's racing that they have on there for me is way cooler. Like you're getting the official stream or the official coverage just through them. Anyway, I would consider it.
Well, that's pretty good.
Again, they're not paying me for any of this. I didn't want to buy it at all. Like, because $150 is a lot of money. But when I looked at the calendar and the support that they're given across the board, I was like, you know what? I'm definitely going to be getting $12 a month. And I used to pay $80 every 4 months for a big wrestling pay-per-view. Like, think about that for a second. I paid $80 for like WrestleMania like 3 years ago. Like years ago, we would have collectively all chipped in $10 a piece and probably had 8 of us crowd into a basement to watch Paris-Roubaix if we could get it on pay-per-view years ago. Now we can literally get it on pay-per-view for $12 a month.
Yeah.
For the entire year, like $150 for the entire year. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of bike racing. You can watch it all.
All right. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I had to scour the dark webs for my Milan San Remo feed. I found a French one, which was pretty good. It only froze up a couple of times.
But were you nervous that like too many people were going to find out about it and like slow it down?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it was fun. Like you said, with the Italian feed that you had, I had the French feed going, and Alaphilippe winning Milan San Remo made for some exciting commentary that I did not understand a word of, but I got the passion behind it,
Yeah.
But
anyways,
I probably have a virus too, so yeah.
There's just a lot of you probably do have some kind of virus. 3 Days to Pain, you can watch it on there. Anyways, like that race that little guy always talks about, Sheldon Priest, the Flanders Classic, like the baby Tour de Flanders. It's on there. Anyways,
all right.
I guess just consider it. The worst part is I already checked. I can't give you my login because they'll like. I was like, all right, maybe I'll like help out little guy and Spencer. Like, yeah, you guys can like, because we've. It's not like we haven't shared many things like this before.
Never.
And I was like, all right, maybe you guys can do it. Anyways, I'm done there. Let's get into some Milan San Remo talk.
Okay. It's
right.
about time.
It's about time. I know we buried the lead.
Julian I mentioned it quickly there. Julian Alaphilippe taking the win. What'd you think?
Olive Nason and Michael Kwiatkowski on the podium.
Second and third doesn't matter.
No. But I think 6th place matters this time.
6th place, I think, matters. And
okay, let's talk results first, then we'll talk about how the race happened.
Yeah. Okay. 6th place matters because you've got Wout van Aert in 6th place, who I don't think I know he's on people's radar to some extent, but I don't think he was legitimately on anybody's radar for this race.
Oh, like even the announcers that we got, they were like, Wout van Aert, what is, like, this is unbelievable. Like, they're like, what is he doing here? And you're like, yeah. And every single one of us, like Cyclocross friends, like, we told you, and we're thinking in our back pocket, we're like, man, they haven't even seen Matthew Van Der Poel yet.
Oh yeah. No,
right? Like, we're like, Van Der Poel, like, Wout van Aert got 6th. He lost by like on average 30 seconds a race to Van Der Poel. So like extrapolate that one out.
Yeah. No, what's interesting here, I think 6th place Wout van Aert, 7th place Alejandro Valverde.
I was just going to talk about that. How awesome was it to see once again the World Championship stripes? People were worried. They said, the World Championship stripes are off of Peter Sagan. We're not going to see him. Like, and here he was. He was up there. He was
riding a really smart race, as he does. And was up there towards the end. I thought that they're probably not a realistic shot of winning, but he showed
well.
Yeah, he did show well.
So I got one for you.
Okay.
You ready? how nervous were you when you saw in the distance Michael Matthews coming off the podium going, oh my God, he may actually be able to catch the group. And he had like a teammate there to work for him named Tom Dumoulin.
Yeah, that's
Like,
some stressful moments.
Can I tell you something?
Not going to lie.
If he would have made that, at what point do we go into the Matthew camp? The Michael Matthews camp, the Bling Matthews as our hero camp.
Tim.
It's kind of starting for me.
Tim.
Like, he didn't give up, man.
Tim.
Yeah.
Level with me.
Yeah.
You're messing with me, right?
I don't know, man. I'm like starting. If he would have won.
I think
Okay.
it's just because you're looking at the results sheet, then the results sheet says Michael Matthews. If the results sheet said Bling Matthews, I think you would have a different tone.
Oh, for sure. But here's the thing. He almost made the gap.
Oh yeah.
Caleb Ewing wasn't there.
No. Groenewegen was not there. A lot of the sprinters he thought might be there, not making the cut.
So I was a little nervous because I when he wins a big race, and if he wins it in such a fashion that he wins it by not giving up, and he's like he basically is the opposite of everything we don't like about him.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like his coming of age story, and all of a sudden you're like, wow,
you think
we're gonna have to eat a lot of crow.
You think this podcast is going to be forced to retake our stance on Michael Matthews?
If Michael Matthews wins a big race in the fashion that he almost won Milan San Remo on Saturday, absolutely. Like, he didn't give up. Like, he worked his butt off to get across. Like, it was actually kind of cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But also a little nervous because I was like, oh man, people are like never going to let us hear the end of this one.
Yeah, well, too bad he didn't make it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, big bummer. All the Matthews fans are just going to have to wait for the next one, I guess.
So how bad did Peter Sagan mess up the sprint?
You know, I've heard a lot of varying opinions on this. Some people saying that, he had a clear lane he could have used and, taken the victory. Some people, Peter himself saying that he was boxed in and there was nowhere to go. So I don't know. He was right there. What do you think?
I'm okay with it. I think that Moritz of Bahrain Merida probably deserves a lot more credit in my book. Like he was the one that kind of launched it open to get it going.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that from him. And I mean, I'm okay with Alaphilippe winning, right? Like, yeah, he's a fun racer to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he knew he was going to descend like crazy.
Yeah. It would have been cooler to see Oliver Nason win. Not going to lie. But
I don't know if I don't know if I'm in the camp with you on that one.
Really?
I mean, it's just not that exciting. Another Belgian winning, another monument. I mean, it's kind of cool that he's on AG2R, I guess, but
all right. Well,
I'm pretty okay with this result. Alaphilippe, a deserving winner. Kwiatkowski did not win, which I like. I don't know why. I like Kwiatkowski as a rider, but I just don't want him to win this race. I'm totally okay with Peter Sagan not winning, just because. Looking through this top, 16 riders here, I don't know who, aside from Wout van Aert, which would have been a miracle, I would have rather seen win than Julian Alaphilippe.
Valverde.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's got stripes. He doesn't need to win.
Last place, last finisher, the cobbler, Adam Hansen, comes in 21 minutes down. Gaviria takes the coveted 16th place.
Yep.
Overall, the race, it's one of my favorite races of the year. I've talked about it many times before. It's a long jaunt. You wake up in the morning, I check Twitter, and it's like, oh, the race just started.
Yeah.
238 kilometers to go. And I'm like, all right, I'm going back to bed I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, I don't really need to watch for another 200 kilometers.
Yep.
Until he gets to the Cipressa.
Yep.
And then It is so exciting. And what's exciting is when they have the motorcycles and they got the cameras on the back and you just see the big name sprinters going off. And the first one I saw was Grossenwagen. And you're like, oh, there he goes. And then the
he
next
was in
one,
the struggle bus early. Yeah.
Yeah. And one by one, they just get picked off, and you're just like, man, that's pretty awesome to see.
Another highlight on the Cipressa the last few years has been this Dutch corner, Tim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about with the orange flares and the smoke bombs and everything else.
Yeah. Kind of crazy this year. I think they started a fire.
It looks incredible from the helicopter. It looks amazing. You see the motorcycle go through and you get the camera shot and there's smoke everywhere and it looks like Mad Max-ish. It looks like, post-apocalyptic. Super cool. And then you see the riders like waving their hands, like trying to like see, and then you're realizing, about 200 guys are going to come through here at full speed with a bunch of cars and motorcycles around them. Maybe this is not the best idea.
On like a steep corner, like it's like those hills. You go off the side of the road.
Yeah. And then, but you're kind of like, well, fans, I get it. They want to be passionate. I'd probably be there. And then they light the side of the road on fire on accident, I'm sure.
That was pretty amazing.
With their flare. A couple of trees going up in flames. That's not a great look for the cycling fandom.
For Dutch Corner. Yeah. So a couple of things I noticed this year, one of our favorite roller derby propositions for
oh my God,
Milan and Remo is who's going to be first over the Poggio.
Yes.
Because it's usually, there's an attack that happens on the Poggio. Someone's going to go from the... And this year, it was very anticlimactic because the way the coverage was...
They went up it so fast.
They were going up it so fast, and there wasn't Alaphilippe went, and then the guy from Education First was off the front. I don't know, who was that? Was that
Simon? It was Simon Clark.
Was it Simon Clark? Okay, yeah. He ended up getting 10th, didn't he? Or 9th?
Yeah.
So they're going off the front. They're kind of going back and forth, and then Sagan gets to the top and leads across the KOM line.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I picked him to do that. But I guess this is the first time I've seen the Poggio with as many people having parties along the course, because there's all those driveways that abut the road, right? Like the garages and everything. There was a lot of people hanging out on top of garages watching the race, hanging out in the garage, having a garage party.
Yeah.
It's like maybe they listen to the podcast, and one of these years I have to get into one of those garages for the party for when the Poggio, because I want to see them come by, and then I want to turn around and see the crazy descent, knowing that I can ride my bike down that about a quarter of the speed that these guys are. I mean, the descent was crazy. That guy from Direct Energy.
Oh yeah.
He was going down 80 kilometers an hour, overtaking that motorcycle. That motorcycle couldn't get out of the way.
Could not get out of the way.
You're like, get out of the way. And he's like, I'm scared.
he was basically dragging his knee on the ground around those corners, like MotoGP style. It was completely buck wild.
Yeah. Insane. Anyway, that was definitely one of the highlights too.
It is the most exciting 30 kilometers maybe of any event out there.
Sure, except it got totally showed up today by Alfredo Binda.
Well, that's as a whole. You take that as a whole, it's a more exciting race. Like Milan San Remo as a whole over 291 kilometers. Pretty boring race.
So that was what I was going to say.
Proportionally.
Milan San Remo is kind of like the college basketball of the World Tour.
All right.
Just give both teams 100 points and put 2 minutes on the clock and randomly distribute fouls, and it's still really exciting, but you don't need to watch the first 38 minutes of play or 22 minutes of play or whatever. Whereas this race, you don't really need to watch it until those final 30K.
No, you only need to see the lead out trains going into the Cipressa. That's where you need to start, 35K or so out, and that's all you need for this race. But it's incredible. It's like the Poggio, the climb is so fun. The descent is absolutely mind blowing, and it works out a little bit, like basically the same, but a little bit different every year. Like sometimes it's one guy off the front, sometimes it's three guys. Then there's a little group of 4 or a little group of 10, and like, are they going to catch? Are they not? And then there's the group behind. It's a game of seconds, like usually if somebody had a 3-second gap with 3K to go in a normal race, like Ghent Wevelgem, you'd be like, oh, they're going to get caught. But in Milan San Remo, that formula goes straight out the window.
It is. So let's do a quick little ledger review for you and I on roller derby. There's 4 props on Milan San Remo.
Okay.
Get into the preem lap. First up, who will be first over the Poggio at 8-1 was Bora Hansgrohe. I selected that, so I came out about 140 ahead. So I had Bora Hansgrohe. Did you select the right team for the Poggio?
I did not.
All right.
Did not. I went heavy on other because I thought some rando would take a flyer, and that was not really the right move.
Little guy was was telling me that he wanted to go full AG2R because he felt that AG2R was going to be the one with Bardet. And I was like, all right. Then the other classic one, non-finish proposition was, will Milan San Remo end in a bunch sprint? So the ruling is that 15th place must finish within 3 seconds of the winner.
Yep.
Now in the past, this has been a pretty tight. Most of the time, the yes comes in here because most of the time the 15th place is within 3 seconds. Like it's usually a pretty big group that comes down. No was the winning sprint. Now, what was interesting was there was even money placed on both sides here, so I lost quite a bit of money on this.
That's unfortunate.
Well, not a ton of money, but anyway. So, did you come out okay on that one?
I did. I bet 50 on no and was victorious.
All right. And then up next, we have who will show at Milan San Remo. So this was kind of like the, so Alaphilippe, obviously, Michael Kwiatkowski, and then a better's error. Oliver Nason's not even mentioned as one of the listing finishers in the podium. Now, Spencer, I see that you did put a lot of money on Alaphilippe to take it, and he was paying out at 2-1. I had Caleb Ewing and Dylan Grossenwagen, so I once again lost my shirt.
Although I did hit on Alaphilippe, I had bet 60 points on him, which I believe was my biggest bet. I did spread the love around quite a bit. So I think I did not come out ahead overall on this one. So putting money on Sagan, Viviani, Van Avermaet, Groenewegen, Trenton, Gilbert, and Tegenkolb.
So the handicappers actually did pretty good. Luke did a pretty good job of selecting those so he even has Moritz on here at 19-1. The only two that I don't see were Nason's, and he didn't have Wout van Aert, but I don't think anybody had Wout to do well in this race. And then finally the big one, who will win Milan San Remo? The winner, the wisdom of the crowd, was Julian Alaphilippe. He was the favorite, coming out at 6-1 odds, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So good for Alaphilippe. I kind of spread it all around, but I just want to give a shout out to the biggest loser, Matthew Avery. He put 450 points on Dylan Grossenwagen and 375 on Viviani. And he's the one that came all in for Lotto Jumbo winning the overall. But anyways, good stuff. Wisdom of the crowds. Julian Alaphilippe, the favorite, did win. So it shows that for the most part, people are smart.
In general, yeah, they're listening to the podcast.
Yeah. So
one quick note. You mentioned Wout van Aert again. I just want to bring that up. I saw it floating on Twitter somewhere. Somebody had quoted a bit of interview from him from before Milan San Remo, and they were saying that his climb up the Poggio would be the first time that he's seen the climb, like in person on a bike. Like he's seen the videos, obviously, of the race, but like had never ridden the Poggio before. And I was just like, oh, well, he's going to crash on the descent for sure. And then he was up there at the front, and it was amazing.
I wonder how long it's going to take for Zwift to just start going after the course recons of like famous courses, right? Like, okay, here's the final 40K of Milan San Remo and make it almost like the simulators. Because there's all these guys, like a lot of the race car drivers, like in Formula One and other like top level like drivers, they learn to drive on the simulators, right? Like they drive the simulators and then it's just like super realistic to going out to real life. So I'm wondering if that at some point that's going to be how Wout is going to experience the Poggio for the first time, right? In the future, like 2 years from now, it's just going to be some VR style racing on a trainer.
Possibly. I want the Wahoo kicker adapter that adds the Paris-Roubaix cobblestones underneath my bike when I'm doing the trainer. So that's my next innovation I'm waiting for.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's get into the pre-mutt.
My name is Matthew Vanderpool and I don't listen to the Slow Ride podcast.
All right. So once again, we're going to rapid fire through some of our great sponsors of the Slow Ride podcast and the Wide Angle Podium Network. Head over to wideanglepodium.com to find out more about our family of shows and how you can become a supporter, access some of that great bonus content. And as we mentioned, if you are a member, you get a 500-point bonus to your roller derby account. So you can bet against us as we talk more about it throughout the season. One of the coolest ways to enjoy cycling is roller derby, spelled ROULEUR derby.com.
Indeed.
And go ahead, Spencer.
Well, I was going to say, we also need to talk about longtime Wide Angle Podium sponsor, Health IQ.
That's right. So you can go to healthiq.com/WAP to find out how to save money on your life insurance. You take a quick quiz. You see if you're a active individual, right? If you're able to meet their needs, you can actually save a bunch of money on your life insurance because they work to get you the best rates because, again, you're a healthy individual, so therefore you're a little bit less likely to need it. But anything can happen, so you need to be able to take care of your loved ones. And that's what life insurance is all about. Take it from me. I'm an expert on this.
No, and they've used science, things like science and data to, prove these things and to get lower rates based on people who are living healthy lifestyles, who are health conscious folks like cyclists. So if you're riding your bike, if you're recording that on Strava or something, that will pay back in dividends for you. Anyway, Health IQ, like we said, life insurance company, they celebrate the health conscious. Visit healthiq.com/WAP to learn more and get a free quote. And check out their life insurance FAQ page to get any questions that you have answered, or sign up to take the quiz and see if you score elite as well.
And once again, you know this, everyone knows it. Grimpeur Brothers continues to be a supporter of the Wide Angle Podium Network. 2 great coffee flavors, the full Schleck and Hello Cyclocross Friends. It's an espresso blend, so you have both a light roast and an espresso blend. 2 great varieties from Grimpeur Brothers. The way to access that is to go to wideanglepodium.com/coffee, and it will take you right there. So you can support us. They'll deliver it fresh to you. So thanks to Grimpeur Brothers for their continued support of the Wide Angle Podium Network and cycling as a whole.
And of course, as Tim mentioned, check out wideanglepodium.com while you're there. Check out our other family of shows. We are really trying hard to bring you guys the best cycling infotainment out there. And we think it's, quality stuff that you're going to enjoy. If you like this show, there's definitely something else on the Wide Angle Podium you're going to like as well. Maybe it's the Gravel Lot. Maybe it's Bike Shop CX. Maybe it's the Consummate Athlete.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. So go check it out. And with that, Spencer, let's get back to the show.
What up? This is Toms Kojenc, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
So we've got a couple of great emails that have come across. I know there's a couple that you want to talk about in particular. And the first one is going to be the one from Scott Lundy. Do you want to take this away?
Well, I'd have to have it in front of me.
Okay, so I can read you the email because you're going to know right away what it is. Dear Slow Ride Podcast, I'm sure you all, like me, have goals in life. And I hope one day everyone has the pleasure of achieving one of those goals, some kind of milestone that you may have set for yourself years ago. In this instance, it was a goal of mine forged long ago in the heat of July, watching tiny men from Luxembourg devastating the peloton of the Tour de France. I mean, clearly they weren't winning, but it seems like they were trying hard anyway. And this past weekend, a dream came true. To put it simply, I went full Schleck with Frank Schleck. Most importantly, though, if I've now harassed both the Schleck and George Hincapie, who's left on the Slow Ride Pod's selfie punch card? All the best, Scott from California. And he includes a sweet selfie photo, full Schleck, with the one and only Frank Schleck, who, by the way, fully zipped up, which leads me to believe it was a little cold. So Scott went all out here to go full Schleck to go buy him.
Yeah.
I need to know more, Scott. Did you say, hey, full Schleck? And then he, like what happened?
Yeah.
Now, I know Scott is
probably acted quizzical, but he knows what full Schleck is.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's like it's the style of a generation. He's birthed here. I mean, everyone that goes full unzip, you're going Schleck, and it's great. The now I know Scott's bothered Hincapie before. Lots of people have bothered Hincapie. I think more and more people need to, every time you see George Hincapie, be like, hey, Hincapie, when are you going on the podcast?
An unreasonable amount of people have bothered George Hincapie.
Like, don't even mention to him the name of the podcast anymore. Just say, like, he'll know what podcast we're talking about. Like, he knows. But anyways, thank you so much for sharing. If you want to see this great photo, we do have it over at the Slow Ride Pod Instagram account. So it's great to see Scott coming through, going full Schleck. And that's a pretty darn good life goal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Got another email here from Tyler Golly. Hey, guys. Love the show and a huge fan of biking and bike racing. I also plan and design bike routes for a living with the Firm Tool Design Group. You mentioned a bike rack with a post and a round thing. Those are called post and ring racks.
Really put you in your place there with the the description.
Wow, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for really letting us know what it's called.
The one with the post and the ring. I don't know what it's called. It's called the post and ring, guys.
This season of the show has been amazing. Keep it going. Huge fan of Mike Woods and Sven Tuft. Get those dudes on the show. Tyler, I cannot agree more.
I love it.
I think having Sven Tuft, I mean, that's a darn good idea. And he's probably one of our, maybe on our like Mount Rushmore of like cycling nerddom fan. Like we nerd out about Sven Tuft probably more than many other cyclists.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue I would probably, he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Sven Tuft should definitely get consideration from the Veterans Committee. Like, he just strikes me as like the cyclist. You know what I mean? Like the one that everyone's just kind of a fan of.
Oh yeah.
So, every now and then, some guys that don't have the full results get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So maybe it would be Sven Tuft's time. He did get a silver medal in the Olympics, which is pretty amazing.
That could be a strong argument.
I mean, so it's not like has been around forever, and his story of how he became a cyclist is already like legendary.
Oh yeah.
So,
and that's,
Anyway, I'm just saying that I think that this could be a pretty good opportunity.
Maybe we'll get in contact with his people.
Yeah, he's still racing for UHC or rally at UHC. So, and then finally, friend of the pod, Douglas Sniper comes in.
Yeah.
It says, hey guys, now that roller derby is up and running and we are all wondering when the Schwamigan proposition is going up. I know the other 5 monuments come before Schwamigan,
Yeah.
but you must realize that you're dealing with a bunch of overzealous high rollers who will most likely squander all their points before September. It would be nice if you could save ourselves from our own lack of judgment by putting up the proposition early so we can lock in what few points we have left. Also, what happens if one of your bet for or against yourself? What Hall of Fame are you banned from? Cycling, podcast, or baseball? I kind of like this. Can we bet on ourselves? This could be a pretty good proposition, maybe in a league or something. I don't know. I don't think Schwamigan's going to happen this year. Just because you and little guy probably are going to refuse to take the start line against me after the whooping that I put on.
After the, gratuitous bending of rules that happened from both of you guys at last year's Schwamigan. I don't know if I have anything left to prove after my victory.
Anyways, good stuff all the way through. Remember, you can always email us at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com if you have questions. We also are on Twitter at theslowridepod. And it was on Twitter this week, and I guess everywhere else I went on the internet, that was taken over by the launch of the Trek or the Bontrager Wave Cell helmet.
Right.
Now, Spencer, I know you live in a bubble.
I do.
Did you happen to see any of the advertisements of the Wave Cell helmet?
I didn't see any of the advertisements.
Okay.
I saw a whole lot of, not exactly sponsored, but sponsored social media, Instagram kind of posts like, oh, here's me and my new helmet.
Yeah. And then all over every cycling publication online. I guess it was like I couldn't go to a website that didn't have a Wave Cell like ad on it. Like I went to Cycling Tips, like, oh, all over. And then Cycling News. It was all over, right? And the helmet, I guess that it was the teaser that got me before, like where they had the video of this mysterious floating fiber in space, and then you're like, ooh, is that a 3D printed bike? What is it? And a lot of people were talking about it. And then it turns out it was a helmet, and the helmet, the technology is very similar to it feels a lot like Koroyd, which most people would know from the Smith helmets here in the US.
Sure.
And then over in Europe, Smith and Dura have it. So it's like that kind of corrugated plastic that's kind of welded together.
Honeycomb.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's got superior concussion and crash ratings as the Koroyd. Wave Cell testing says that it's even better than that. And what I want to get to more, Wave Cell is claiming that it's a lot better than MIPS, and MIPS was the cat's shebang, right? Like that was everyone has been talking about MIPS for how long? You used to be in the helmet game, like you used to work in the helmet company.
I did.
How long has MIPS been the thing?
MIPS took us out to dinner to sushi in Las Vegas, Interbike 2013. Took the whole company to a $1,300 sushi dinner to try and get a MIPS into our helmet line, and it worked. So 2013 was when I first was introduced to MIPS.
And I feel like MIPS is everywhere. Like it's synonymous. Like if you're going to have a helmet, you get a MIPS. Now, the way MIPS, we've talked about it before, it's kind of like a cradle inside the helmet. It's like a liner that slips so that the helmet can kind of float on your head, right?
Yeah, it's a shell within a shell. Yeah.
Okay. And now Wave Cell, I don't know the full technology above it or around it, but it basically acts that it can take the impact from all different angles, more or less.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, anyways, I tried the helmet. They I guess that they tell you like in all the press release, like the technology does have a little bit like of a weight penalty of 50 grams. And it's like, I put it on.
So does
suddenly
MIPS.
Suddenly my neck was sore. I'm just, like it wasn't very noticeable, but yeah, it's just like MIPS. The helmet, I mean, they look good. Like there's no, like, I think they're fine. They like from the look, they weren't like the full Aero helmet. I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is I was on a ride today.
Uh-huh.
I saw 4 people in wave cell helmets on the ride out of 12.
Wow.
And most of those, I think 3 of them full price purchases. Like they were consumers that bought that helmet that saw like the technology behind it, and the launch seemed to go pretty well from a standpoint of, oh wow, like this is a safer helmet for you, and people were buying it, and they actually looked pretty decent. So
all right,
it was interesting. So I've got a tester, courtesy of Trek. So I will continue to do that, and I'll talk about it on a review show podcast coming up. But it was overall right now, it was a pretty nice helmet to have.
All right,
a little BOA dial on the back.
Yeah, I have not seen one in person or held it in my hand, so I don't have a lot of feedback for you right now. Other than it looks interesting, it looks intriguing.
So this gets to the other part, though. MIPS came out firing on all cylinders afterwards. Like they bought a helmet to do their own testing, and it's just kind of interesting to see how brands go at it, like. Right, because the other one is the Cliff Bar versus Kind Bar. So Cliff Bar has like some ad campaign that's going on right now where it's like, oh, we challenge Kind to use organic ingredients.
Yep.
It's similar to like how, what is it, Bud Light is challenging the other beer companies to list what their ingredients are because of corn syrup. It's like this whole new kind of marketing thing where now MIPS is calling out the wave cell. Like it's weird that the marketing now is like mentioning your competitors by name.
Yeah. Well, have we really reached that plateau in the cycling industry? Have we come far enough that we can do the Chevy trucks versus Ford trucks things, with who has the bigger payload and the higher ground clearance and whatever, those commercials were always all about.
Yeah. This is pretty good. That's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. Like we've now made it. We've now reached that level. But anyway, it was just it was one of those things that I was shocked. We have we're going to be up there in Trekland for the Waterloo UCI cross race.
Yeah.
I have the feeling there's going to be a lot of wave cell helmets up there.
Probably.
And it's just, I was completely blown away by how everywhere I looked there was this helmet and this technology, and how no one knew what it was that was going to be announced. Like that's what was impressive.
Yeah, they did a good job of that.
So good for them.
Tim, I was thinking earlier, I was thinking about Milan and Remo. I was thinking about Julian Alaphilippe winning, and I was thinking about Quickstep in particular and how they had Philippe Gilbert, Alaphilippe, Stibar. They had all these weapons to use. And how that's, kind of the same case throughout the whole, Strade Bianche. It's going to be the same through Flanders and all the races through the whole spring.
Almost the entire year, because they'll do it at the Tour too. Right?
Sure. Yeah. And I don't know. I got to run something by you.
Okay.
I feel like I like the team. I feel like they're a good team. I'm comfortable with this team. I feel like I feel at home with the way that they race, with the riders they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm worried that maybe I'm a little too comfortable. Like I just like whoever's on Quickstep because they're on Quickstep. I feel like they've become the sweatpants of cycling teams.
Okay.
Like them and you love them, but maybe you don't want them to be your favorite. Maybe you don't want to wear them outside.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. I'm not a big sweatpant in public guy.
Yeah.
So, and then also when I see them at the airport, it really makes me mad.
Quickstep or sweatpants?
Someone getting on the plane in sweatpants, and it's that could be Quickstep. Yeah. So you think Quickstep is the sweatpants?
Yeah, like Quickstep is a team that you love, but you don't want to admit that you love. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like we've reached that point where we can't really cheer for them. And that's, mostly Lefebvre's fault, but I want somebody else to be the most important team. You know what I mean?
Well, don't worry. Team Sky just got apparently the evil most money in the world. I mean, that didn't last long before it came out that their new sponsor has basically been, what was it, like fined by the British Environmental Protection Agency a record number of times.
Yeah.
And this is the team. This is the team that's like racing for SeaWorld and to get plastic out of the ocean. And now it's like they're going to be sponsored by the company that makes the plastic.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting there. So I think that you're safe that Quick Step isn't going to be the most hated team.
Well, and then that's just it. They're not hated, but it's tough to admit. I don't know what I'm saying, but they're the sweatpants of cycling. That much I do know.
So you're going to go get some sweatpants on?
I'm going to go put on some sweatpants. I think I need to ease into classic season. Now that we're past Milan San Remo, we get a couple weeks to kind of relax and really gear up for the cobbled classics.
Yeah, well, they're coming. But anyways, it was a good week of racing. It was great to talk to you as always. Hope to be back next week with everyone once again. I'd like to thank all of our listeners and subscribers of the Wide Angle Podium Network. Head to wideanglepodium.com to find out more. Thanks to Health IQ, healthiq.com/WAP to find out how to save money on your life insurance. And once again, Grimpeur Brothers. Head over to wideanglepodium.com/coffee to score 2 great blends of freshly ground coffee sent to you from our friends at Grimpeur Brothers.
Yep.
And with that, I am Tim in Orlando.
And I am Spencer in Boston, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.